Well, welcome to another edition of StreamQuest. Hey guys, what's happening?
Hi, Ralph.
Hello, guys.
Hello, Drew.
Hello, Drew.
Did you guys have a good week?
Oh, just incredible.
Tickled?
Great.
Wow. That's so exciting. The excitement is amazing. These
Yeah.
things just generate so much excitement.
Yeah.
It's not like homework, guys. This is fun. It's supposed to be fun.
No, yeah, it is. Fun.
Right?
Yep.
All right.
Fun.
Well, I'm getting a haircut on Friday, so I had to wear a hat.
Well, now that's fun.
Look at us. Yeah, the three hats.
I couldn't tame it. My wife is away, so I didn't have my stylist.
So how long is she away for? Is she away while the cat's
Just
away?
a couple days.
Okay.
Just a couple days.
Bachelor living.
Bachelor?
All right. Nice.
Well, I'm preparing some surprises for her. So by the time this airs, they'll either I'm sure that this will be on when they're done. But tomorrow I'm doing a bunch of stuff around the house for her, and I think she'll like that. So.
Yeah, get those snakes out of the yard.
Oh, did you guys see? I
did
don't
see
know if I
that.
sent you the picture.
Anaconda.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, nuts.
It's a 5.5 foot long. Well, I guess it's a little longer now. 5.5 foot long black rat snake that we met last summer, and I think she slithered up into the chain link fence and shed her skin into the fence.
Right into the fence.
It looks really cool.
Yeah.
It looks really cool.
That's great.
A
Snakes are
little
awesome.
freaky. I wouldn't want to see that thing close to me.
Well, it's
Yee.
probably in the garage now, and the garage is right over there, so I'm sure it's fine.
Ralph, how was your week?
Oh, what did I do? I don't even remember what happened this week. It's been a whirlwind.
You've been a little hectic.
I golfed yesterday. That was pretty good.
Oh, how'd you shoot?
Not terrible, but
That's not really clarified.
Doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't.
But
bother
I don't
me.
know
had a
what you
good time.
shot.
With my friend John, who's been in COVID lockdown for a year.
Wow.
So this is his
John
first.
that was on our show?
Casenzi, yes, he did the Young
He
Frankenstein.
finally came out?
He came out of his house, if that's what you mean. Yes, he did. Luckily, the
Wow.
people we golfed against were double vaxxed, so he felt pretty good about that.
Oh, good. Well, that's good. Yeah,
yeah.
you guys were outside too, right?
Oh, yeah. No, we golfed
Yeah.
indoors. Indoor golf, yeah. It was
Well,
awesome.
no, it's it helps.
Yeah, it was a
with
beautiful
not
day.
spreading the virus. Being
So
outside.
I'm coming off after the 2 weeks of weddings and I've been exhausted, but things are good.
But
now we're
Ralph,
back.
you still you've avoided. What did you shoot? You haven't told me yet. You
Way
avoided
over
that.
100. I just don't.
Oh, you're not even sure.
Not even close. I got
So-
one. They were amazed. Again, I do this once a round. I did this 45-foot putt over through valleys and stuff, and I don't know how it goes in. It just goes in. It's just crazy.
Is it?
Well, I'm
is
gonna
it
do a little
politically-
plug.
Is it politically correct for me to ask you what your handicap is, or is there a different term?
My handicap is my swing. To be
yeah.
honest, I don't have a.
I'm
I'm
gonna
too
do a little
high. I
plug.
mean,
I'm going to do a little plug for the next Cue It Up episode. We did a special golf version, so check it out. You'll see Ralph's prowess on the golf course.
yeah.
Is it about golf in general, or golf movies, or
He showed us golfing.
No, he came up to Massachusetts. I filmed a hole with the two of
One
us.
hole.
One hole. And by that time, Ralph was lit. So
There we
I
go.
really
He
had
loves
a
to
big
bring up
advantage
that I had
over-
been drinking all day.
Well, you were. I mean,
You
I'm
know
not-
what? If you
Sometimes
never-
that's the only way to golf. I get it.
That is the only
No,
way for me.
golf
And
is
if
too
you had
hard
never mentioned
sober.
it, nobody would have known. Based on my golf, I mean.
Oh no, they would have known.
No.
Because
No way.
you said
all right, enough with the golf.
Forget it.
What did you
we'll
guys?
see the logo. Will you put the logo up for the show? I mean, you always
No.
do that on the other
No,
one.
only on StreamQuest. Only when we're on the other show we do StreamQuest.
I got you. All right.
I do that
so,
on
Ralph, what did
purpose.
you want
It
to
drives
talk
him
about?
crazy.
I mean, Drew and I watched a couple of things, but you said you want to talk about something. What
Well,
do you
let's
want to
talk about the stuff we watched, and then I want to get into discussion. Very simple discussion about something else. But tell me something you guys watched this week, streamed or watched, whatever we want to say here.
Drew,
John, let's start with you.
Okay. You want to start
Drew?
with me? I'll start with you.
You guys
starting
are
with you,
okay,
Drew.
somebody.
So I watched the first 3 episodes of a show called Rutherford Falls. It's a comedy. It's on Peacock. It's a Michael Schur show. He did wonderful stuff like Parks and Rec and The Good Place. And this is his new show. It's essentially a spin-off from Parks and Recreation because Rutherford Falls is like the next town over in the show or something like that. I don't really remember, although it was mentioned a few times, and it was mentioned how they were built on the genocide of Native Americans and stuff like that. And so this show is Ed Helms, and he's a descendant of the Rutherford family. and there's a conflict brewing between him and his version of history and the local Native American group, which is they have a casino and a cultural center and a long history of conflict between the two. And after saying all that, it's pretty funny. It's one of those shows like the first episode, but we kept watching, and by the time we got through the third episode, there's some good stuff going on. It's on Peacock, so the first 3 episodes are free. I'm now at that point where I have to decide if I want to spend $5 and watch more of it. There are 10 episodes. I'd probably give it a shot.
You say $5 a month to join Peacock, or is it $5 for the series?
I think the plan is for the month. The plan is it's like $4 or $5.99 a month with ads, and twice that or a little less than twice that without ads, which is my preference. But it was good. Something put me off about it at first, and it was. So when I realized what it was kind of a funny thing about TV comedy for the past, I don't even know, 15 years or something. It felt like the vibe of a Parks and Rec or The Office, but it didn't feel like that. And I thought, am I feeling that's that vibe that's not working? And then I realized it's shot like a single camera comedy. It's not shot like a mockumentary. And so the energy is totally different. The camera moves, all that kind of stuff. Once I realized it's not that. It's a Parks and Rec kind of gentle sense of humor about some pretty intense stuff, but it's shot more traditionally. Then I felt like that was I don't even know how to describe it, like a space between me and the show that I said, oh, okay, that's just me expecting something that this is not like that. So it was good. I enjoyed it. I'd watch it again.
Who else is in it?
Well, there's a couple of other people that have been in a number of things. Michael Greyeyes plays the one of the leaders of the Native American community in the casino. You'd recognize him. He's been in a lot of stuff. But it's mostly new faces, and they're good. There's some really good people in it.
It doesn't have a laugh track, I assume. It doesn't have a laugh track,
it's a single camera comedy. Camera comedy. Michael Schur he's very good. He's a very good writer. And so I think this is one of those shows that the first season of Parks and Rec was not a home run. You know, it wasn't awful, but it wasn't a home run. And the first episode of The Office was not a home run.
Well,
but I think there's some potential. There's some potential here, and we know how good those shows got. So I'd keep watching it. Cool. Rutherford Falls.
Does it have a Schitt's Creek vibe, or is it?
Honestly, I don't know, because I can't stand Schitt's Creek. I watched 2 episodes, and I couldn't get into it, and I don't know.
Drew, listen, I felt in fact, I thought the first 3 episodes were pretty weak. I didn't think it was funny at all. It definitely got funnier. I mean,
I've heard everybody has said that, and some people have said, listen, you just have to get through the first 2 seasons and then it gets really good. And I said, but I tried it, and there's other stuff that I want to watch. So one day I'll watch it.
Actually, I think the last season was the weakest season.
Well, I feel like there's been a split in TV comedy among my friends and maybe the larger world when these shows came on. There's Letterkenny fans and there's Schitt's Creek fans. Not that you can't be fans of both, and not that they're both good, but they're definitely different sensibilities, and we're a Letterkenny family. That kind of ridiculous is right up our alley. So I enjoyed Rutherford Falls. I think it'll give me a nice vibe like Kim's Convenience, which is another good Canadian show that you can watch on Netflix. But I would recommend it, Rutherford Falls. I like Ed Helms a lot.
All right, John.
Yeah, I like him too. Although Vacation remake was the pits.
Yeah,
I thought it was actually pretty funny.
It's funny, yeah.
So I watched a couple of things actually that I want to talk about. I finished watching Invincible, which is the animated series on Amazon. Robert Kirkman. If you're not into animated shows, Ralph, you'll like this show because it's very much like The Boys.
Yeah, I watched a couple episodes of it.
It is graphically violent. J.K. Simmons is incredible in it. He plays Omni-Man. And Stephen Yeun plays Invincible, the lead character. It's a crazy show, and it's funny because I wasn't familiar with their graphic novel, so I've been reading it since I saw the show, and obviously the graphic novel is much more violent, but this is it is super, super violent, but really, really well done. In fact, Seth Rogen is a producer on it, and he plays Al the alien in it, so he's good. It's funny, there was nothing like I was like, I got to watch this. So I just started going through some of the menus. I think you guys talked about it on the first show we did, where you just kind of go through the menus to see what's on. So 2 things caught my eye. One, and I feel bad because I'm not sure if it was Netflix or Amazon, but I watched Oh God with George Burns and John Denver. I had not seen that movie in a long time, and I really wanted. Yeah, so I watched it, and I loved it. We talked about my favorite year as a sweet movie. It's a really sweet movie, and it handles religion in a little cynicism, but only not the way they treated God. It was actually, George Burns was fantastic, and obviously he had a resurgent career as a result of that. And John Denver was great, and I don't even know how many things he did after that, but he was really good. It was directed by Carl Reiner. And the other thing I watched, and I actually saw this in the movie theater. So I have Tubi, and I've never watched anything on Tubi. So I went on Tubi and I started scrolling through the menus to see what's on there. And I found 1978's Lord of the Rings by Ralph Bakshi, which is an...
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Bakshi. How do you pronounce it?
It's Bakshi, so Bakshi or Bakshi.
Bakshi.
I guess you can.
So it's animated, and it's only the first two books, but it's also a rotoscoped movie. And what that means is they filmed it with actors and then animated over the live action. So there are certain scenes in it that you absolutely can tell it's real people doing the stuff. But it was.
But that's really trippy, though.
Oh yeah, well yeah,
they're like it's unsettling.
In fact, I even said to my wife, she happened to walk in at the time where all the orcs, because that's where they really did the rotoscoping, and it was all the psychedelic colors and stuff. And I said, in 1978, I saw this. I was 14 years old, and it was like an acid trip. Looking back on it now, it was an acid trip. But it respected the source material, not as well as Peter Jackson, but Peter Jackson actually took the way this was shot, camera angles and stuff, and incorporated that in his movie because he liked it so much. And they were going to do a third one, but it just didn't make enough money. They actually did a third one, but I think it was made for TV. Rankin and Bass.
Yeah, it was Rankin Bass, the same people that did The Hobbit. So it's weird because you've got
two
Rankin Bass. It was nice, but you have two Rankin Bass, sort of more traditional cartoon versions. They have their own style, but they're definitely like a family cartoon looking thing. And then in the middle, this complete, like you said, acid trip. So it's kind of funny that was Lord of the Rings on film for years.
But it was good. I really enjoyed it. I mean, you could see because they had to compress two books in a 2-hour and 10-minute movie. They cut tons out, but it was I still enjoyed it. In fact, I said I'll watch a little of this, and ended up watching the whole thing. So and Ralph has never seen any of them so. I mentioned
Should I watch
that
that instead of all three of the other ones, or what?
Well, so I said to Rose, Ralph hasn't seen any of these movies, and she said, "Well, why?" And I said, "Because he doesn't like little people with hairy feet. That's
furry feet. Furry feet.
Furry feet. He doesn't want to see that." And their feet were very furry in this version of Lord of the Rings. So
did he direct Fritz the Cat? Is that the same animator?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So anyway, those are the three things that I watched. Tubi was good, except it had ads, which, obviously when you watch all these streaming services with no ads, when you see an ad, it's pretty jarring. You're like, oh, wait a minute, the action was going. But I still enjoyed it. So check out Tubi. They've got some pretty good stuff on there. I'm glad that I took a look at it. So anyway, that's what I'm watching. Ralph?
I feel like watching Tubi, I haven't watched a lot on it, but it's kind of like if you had basic cable and TBS threw on a bunch of good movies on the weekend. So you're watching something that it's good, you enjoy it. Oh, there's an ad, you can go to the bathroom, and then you go back to it. And you don't really have to do that anymore with all the streaming choices and payment plans and stuff. But it's not nostalgic like the last Blockbuster nostalgic, but it is kind of funny to you're a kid and you've got the TV on and you're watching movies because it's raining or whatever. And Tubi seemed like it could deliver that kind of
Well, they also have a category not on Netflix. So they've got some content that no one else has, and frankly, not a lot of people want. So it's a double-edged sword. But it was neat when I saw what was on there. Like I was a big Buck Rogers fan. The entire series is there with Gil Gerard, so that's kind of cool. So so there was some neat stuff. Ralph,
I was just remember we grew up watching scrambled video to look for boobs from HBO. We didn't.
I did too.
Why do you got to bring up Dad? Why do you got to bring up Dad during the show? That is not right.
Like father, like son. Couple of things. I've been obsessed with HLN. Does this whole series called Scary People with Donnie Wahlberg. which is just
HLN.
HLN, which is
Headline News.
Yeah, it's a subsidiary of CNN. HLN is like
Yeah.
is it Headline
It
News?
was
I don't know.
it was Headline News. Now they rebranded it as HLN. So
Yeah,
they
do
like,
these
news, and then
kind
they
of
also do
shows.
like Dateline type of stuff.
Right. So it's hours of that. It's Dateline. It's and this one's called Scary People, and it's just back to back to back. Charlie Manson, the Kool-Aid guy there, the what do you call him?
Jim Jones.
Jim Jones. So it's like
Kool-Aid
comfort.
guy.
I hate to say it, it's like comfort food, right? Because it's like Law and Order. You can just watch each one, and you know what's going to happen. You just kind of relax to it.
Yeah.
So these
Then I made a
murderers-
big
I
mistake.
understand.
Then I made a huge mistake.
Uh-oh.
And I started watching this series on HBO Max, thinking it was only 3 episodes, and it's the new mayor of what's it called?
Mayor of Easttown.
M-A-R-E, mayor of
Easttown. Yeah, I want to see that.
it's.
With
Now I
Kate
thought it was
Winslet.
3 episodes. It turns out it's 7.
Yeah.
So I was able to
It's
stream the
running
first
now,
3.
so.
It's going
How
now,
is it?
so I have to wait every Sunday now. So I've seen 3 of the episodes,
Who's
and
in
I think Kate
Kate
Winslet,
Winslet.
and the kid Evan Peters. I say kid. I have no
Evan
idea.
Peters, Quicksilver.
That guy, he's great.
Yeah.
And there's another woman named Julianne Nicholson, who was also in The Outsiders. It seems like this has got an outsider vibe. It's a murder happens in a small town, so everybody's suspect. And Kate Winslet plays this kind of embattled detective who's having a tough. Her regular life is just going crazy, and then she's trying to solve this murder, and there's another murder that's a year old that she hasn't been able to solve, and everybody's a suspect. It's just the kind of detective film I love. And Outsiders, I don't know if you guys saw The Outsider on HBO Max. It was fantastic.
The
That's
HBO
Stephen
show,
King. This has the same vibe. It's very kind of dark, and it takes a long time, and turns out 7
heard Kate-
episodes.
I heard Kate Winslet kills the Pennsylvania accent.
They
that
all
most
do.
people
Yeah.
don't do.
Yeah.
That's cool.
She's got a good ear for it. I just read something on IMDb that she was the only one that between takes would go back to her regular accent. Everybody
they all
else was so
stayed in
freaked out.
character?
Everyone was freaked out about losing that specific
That's a-
Pennsylvania accent.
That's a hard accent. I'm from Baltimore, so
Yeah.
we got our own tone, and you guys are from Boston, so you guys talk funny too.
Yeah, it's a
And
little bit of
Pennsylvania
that.
Pennsylvania is like a
Warsh.
version of
Warsh.
the Baltimore accent,
Yeah.
but with its own distinct thing, and most
Yeah.
people don't go for it. And I've heard that she kills it. I'm waiting for it to stack up. So when it's
She's
all out,
very
I'll
good,
watch it.
and she
I love
she's one of the executive producers, so she has a lot in this, and you can tell that she just went for it, and she's fantastic.
Nice.
Did you ever see her in Extras? Did you ever see the extras that Ricky Gervais
Yes.
did? Her particular
As the nun.
episode
That was a great show.
was fantastic.
Yeah.
She was great.
Yeah.
I just think she's good.
I was an extra in a movie.
Yeah,
and
one
it
time.
was- it reminded me of that. It was awful.
Oh, yeah,
It was
yeah.
awful.
I'm sure.
We were all cattled in a room. I said,
What
I remember
movie was
saying-
it?
It was called Concealed Enemies. Edward Herman was in it. It was about Alger Hiss,
Okay.
and we were like out. It was the middle of winter.
Was
but
it
we had to
period
be
piece? Like a period
Yeah,
piece?
we had to be picketing in the summer. So we're all rolled up T-shirts, but it's freezing outside, and we were there for like 16 hours straight one
That's
day.
Was this up in
Imagine.
Boston or in L.A.?
It was in Boston. It was
Oh.
awful. It was.
It doesn't
awful.
get cold
But
in L.A., Ralph. You silly.
Well, it does a little at night. Doesn't it get a little chilly, a little nippy?
Oh no, it was cold.
Anyway, Mayor of Easttown, I highly recommend so far. I'm only
Is
3
it
episodes
worth
in.
subscribing to HBO Max?
I think you should subscribe to HBO Max anyway. I
Anyway?
think there's a lot of good
Really?
stuff on there. Yeah.
How else are you going to watch Mortal Kombat if you don't subscribe to
I
HBO
saw
Max?
it. Speaking of that,
I'm
I
sorry.
saw that. What a great
Sorry.
movie! What a great storyline! Great plot. It was just so well done.
No, I think I think
over
it's
here.
worth. I've always been an HBO guy anyway. All the stuff I watch has been on there, and you can go back. Like there's movies I watch over and over and over. Like I said, when I edit, and a lot of them are on HBO, so I kind of like that. So yeah, I think I can't wait to see all 7 episodes. I tend to not wait. Like I'll watch Sunday night. I won't wait. I'll probably do it one at a time, which is going to be frustrating because I want to see the whole thing. But
Ugh,
Right.
I hate
Anyway.
that.
all right.
Well, before we jump into your other thing and this idea of which services we should subscribe to and stuff, I don't know if you guys watched it, but one of the most awful series finales ever of a show that was uneven, but when it was good, it was really good. But I mean, really awful was Dexter. And
yeah.
I
today
didn't watch
I
it.
watched there's a teaser that was released for season 9 of Dexter, which is coming out many years after season 8 and the series ended. So this is another one of these shows that they're bringing back. It's not been as long as like when they
I haven't heard
brought back
anything
Full
about
House
that.
or something. Yeah, I heard it was going to happen, and then everything that was going to happen got screwed up schedule-wise by COVID. Marvel released their trailer today of 3.5 minutes of basically all the movies they've done, and then the next movies that are coming with dates through 2023. Yeah. And that's, I mean, that the fact that they're committing to that stuff is pretty amazing. That means they feel like they can get through COVID, which is good. But Dexter, it's not much in the teaser or anything. And when that show was good, it was really good. But they set such a low bar for the way that the series ended. I guess they have something. I'll watch the first one of season 9, but I don't know when that's coming out.
I loved Dexter when it came out. First 3 or 4 seasons, I was hooked.
Oh, yeah.
I gave up after a while, and I think I'm glad I did, because when I did see that finale where he drives off into the wave or whatever the hell happened, and he ends up being a lumberjack, I think is how it ends. Yeah. Spoiler alert, who cares? Yeah. You know,
the clip is him in a cabin in the snow looking out the window, and then he turns to the camera and kind of gives you that Dexter smile. That's basically the whole teaser.
Oh, really?
And it's like, oh, so we're going right back to the lumberjack town.
Yeah,
that was
I got out when Rita
part
died.
Of Man of Steel. So
when his wife Rita died in the bathtub, when John Lithgow took her out. That's
he was
when
the
I
last
gave up,
great villain.
The first one was the ice truck killer. There was some good stuff in that.
There was some good stuff.
And then he turned into a superhero, like all these things do. These people turn into superheroes, and it just goes off the rails.
Well, I read
the
first 1 or 2 Dexter books, and they were fun, and the show was a good adaptation of the feel of it.
Oh, so you read the books before?
No, I read the books. I think I actually ended up reading while the first season was going. I ended up reading the first book, and I think I like it when an adaptation feels right, but it does its own thing, and that was a good example of that. But as I said, the finale endings are really hard, and it was just awful. So I'm curious to see, but I'm not going to subscribe to Showtime just to see.
Speaking of that show, you heard his sister, the woman who played his sister. You said you saw Dragged Across the Concrete. Did you see Dragged Across the Concrete?
No, I've seen S. Craig Zahler's other 2. I have not.
Oh, you haven't seen that? She has a small part in that movie that is, it's amazing. It's sad and amazing at the same time. It's just, she's great in that film. I know she did VHS and some other stuff. She's been around for a bit. Jennifer, what's her name? Jennifer Carpenter.
She did. She did. Quarantine, which is a found footage. It was the Quarantine was. But it was a remake of the Mexican movie Spanish movie Wreck,
right?
Which ended up there were 4 of them, and those are actually really good, scary found footage zombie movies. So,
all right.
She's good. I like her.
Yeah, she's real good. In this one, it's devastating. Here's what I want to talk about.
Is it golf?
No, not at all. Most of us have decided. Have decided cut the cord. I cut the cord a long time ago. I dove into the streaming services a long time ago, Netflix, all this stuff. I'm going through this thing now, and it's because I got an email from Roku, because I stream most of my stuff on Roku. And Roku sent an email saying that they may sever their ties with YouTube TV, which is the one I finally decided. That's the one major streaming service that I have to watch all this stuff. Obviously
that's for live TV. You mean
for live TV, and also news, all the stuff that you. And like I said, there's on demand on that too. You can record stuff, you can play back, and now they're sending out a letter saying they're negotiating with Google, and they may not. I may not be able to watch it on Roku, and. This is what drives me crazy about how we're all handling our stuff now, is that you fall in love with a system, and then the next day that system may not have what you want on it. And you've got to sort of adapt and move around and do something else, and it's driving me a little crazy. Any thoughts?
Most smart TVs, you don't even need Roku.
I find the smart TVs to be cumbersome. What I like about Roku is how quickly I can find things that I want. And also adding the Plex and all the other things that we're doing. Some of the outside third-party things.
I have Fire TV and Roku boxes. I also even have an old, can't use the App Store, old Apple TV.
Yeah.
But I think, when you cut the cord, because we did that too a few years now, it's not to save money because you're like, oh man, cable Comcast is so expensive. It's about flexibility. And sometimes that flexibility backfires, which is what I mean, for you as the user, which is what you're seeing now, which only matters if you have a Roku and if you subscribe to YouTube TV. I subscribe to YouTube TV. We watch it on the Fire TV, so we won't see it. But the reason I subscribe to YouTube TV is because Hulu raised their prices and YouTube TV was $5 cheaper. So I switched over. And if I was on Roku, I'd say, okay, well, let me go back to Hulu if I want, or it'll work out because they're just butting heads publicly and they'll probably work it out. But I remember that would happen, that Comcast couldn't get a carriage agreement with, like HGTV or something, so you can't watch it, and then they'd figure it out. And
eventually they figure it out. Like I couldn't
it's not about you as the user at all. It's about them and fighting over money. So the fact that
millions
it
of dollars,
inconveniences you,
more than millions.
but the fact that it inconveniences you as a user, they don't really.
Well, does it? I mean, it does because it's frustrating. But like
it
HBO
does
Max,
if you have a Roku and you have
HBO Max
YouTube
does
TV.
not stream on Roku, right? So I had to figure out how to do that. So now I have to move. I have a Mac Mini. I put that in this room back here.
Well, did
so
you
I can,
did you side load HBO Max onto your Roku?
I didn't try that.
Did you watch I mean, you can. It's not illegal or anything. I'll talk to you about it.
Yeah.
Side loading, you can download apps that aren't officially on a platform like Peacock. I side loaded Peacock.
Okay.
Because it's not on the Fire TV.
Okay.
But I wanted to watch Peacock, and if I subscribe to Peacock, I'll be able to. So you're not stealing the service. You're basically using it in a platform that they don't have an agreement with. So if I want to watch Peacock, like I watched Rutherford Falls on my side-loaded Peacock, and it runs like Peacock because it is Peacock. It's just the Android file. I mean, the Android program. But I mean, like what you said about the boxes versus the TVs, that's always been my preference because the TVs are generally sluggish.
Yeah.
And you can't upgrade them. Now you can't get a TV that isn't smart. So I have a few TVs in the house. I think they all have those features, but like the newest one is a Samsung that runs I think it's called Tizen is their thing. I don't touch that stuff. I plug in my Fire TV or my Roku and I go. And if you wanted to switch to Fire TV, honestly, I mean, they're always on sale. You can get a perfectly good Fire TV for like $30 or something.
Oh yeah. I mean, that was my next,
it's great.
My next
flexible.
thought was I'll just get Fire TV. I can still do that, or Chromecast.
Yeah.
Stream it from my phone, whatever.
But I mean, just getting a Fire TV is easier even than Chromecast.
Yeah.
So
that's just a stick, right? Fire TV stick.
Yeah, it can. You can get a cube that you can talk to if you want.
Oh, okay.
But,
Ralph, if you're using Macs, don't you use Macs for everything? Why wouldn't you get an Apple TV? I don't get that.
I do not like Apple TV. I don't like the menu system on Apple TV. It drives me crazy. Plus, I'm
the
stuck.
latest generation one.
I don't like it. Never have.
Yeah, it's not as good. It's not as good as the other ones. HBO. Really? I'm recommending Fire, but they just redid their whole interface, and it's crappier.
Yeah.
It takes extra step to get to your own stuff, and they're advertising more. I mean, I'll get used to it, and then I'll forget. Like everybody freaks out when Facebook redesigns the feed, and everybody goes, "I'll never use Facebook again," and that's happened. I don't know, like 16 times in the past 10 years, and nobody remembers or cares. So I'll get used to it, but. The whole thing that's good is that we have choices. Like there are some Apple Plus shows that I would like to watch, but I don't have any Apple TV hardware that can watch it on. But I can download the Apple Plus app and watch it on my Fire. Because I would really like to watch, especially For All Mankind, their alternate history moon landing Cold War series. Is supposed to be outstanding. So at some point I'll break down. I'll get a trial. I'll try it out, that sort of thing. But I won't have to buy something new to do that. And it's irritating if you love Roku and you have YouTube TV that now you're looking
you fall in love. Like
buy
I
or do something different. Yeah,
I got on every TV in the house. I can. Yeah, it's just convenience, obviously. So and I knew that I'd probably have to get a Fire TV if I really want, or I just switch back to Sling TV. I can bounce back and forth.
Yeah, you could do that too.
There's so many different things that it's so easy now to just cancel one, get on the other. I mean, that has made it a lot more convenient. You just fall in love with routines. And you get used to certain things,
But that's the best part is that it used to be, okay, I don't want to have HBO anymore. So I got to call Fios and then they're going to be like, well, you can keep it and here's $40 a month and you can get all 5 of the pay channels. I'm like, but I don't want to spend $15 a month. Now you're telling me to spend $40. I can just turn it on and off at a monthly basis. Right. And I love that. That's really easy.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. But we are spending.
Even though we're all spending the same money or more.
I think more actually with all the streaming because Criterion.
But again, you can turn it off. You could say, I want to watch Mayor of Easttown. I want to watch a new Game of Thrones spinoff. I want to watch The Mandalorian. So watch The Mandalorian, then turn it off for a year. Right. And then if something comes up in 6 months and people say, oh, you got to watch this movie, you got to watch this series, then you could just turn it back on. And that's great. That's super flexible.
Yeah. Side loading. I knew about side loading. I just didn't know I could do that on the Roku. So,
I mean, it sounds like you're hacking something in some illegal way, but it's
you're
not.
Paying for the service. So I mean, it's just
yeah.
But
I don't know what the Roku capabilities are, but we can talk after, and we can record that for our Patreon subscribers to watch us talk about it. Side loading.
I can look it up too. I'm sure I can figure it out, but certainly we can talk about it. Anyway, well, I just wanted to throw that out there. It's just been a bit of a.
Well,
I got an email directly from Roku. I felt all warm inside until I read it.
Yeah,
and then it's like,
it's been in the news. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, but
you got to get them to subscribe to our channel, Ralph.
Yeah,
maybe hit the notification.
I'm sure they get sponsored. Roku.
Subscribe, share, click.
Very good.
Yeah,
very good.
That's good stuff.
Always getting that in there. All right. Well, that's about it. I mean, that was a nice short session. I think.
Yep.
Was it
no
short?
big
How
events
long
came
was
on
it?
the streaming. I don't think they're big events shows that we had to worry about.
Drew, did you finally watch? Did you finish watching Falcon and Winter Soldier?
No, not yet. That's on my list,
Wow.
but not yet.
Wow. Have you watched it at all?
No, I was waiting for it to be all out.
Okay.
And then I will watch it. Because it's only 6 episodes. It's like watching a movie, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an easy watch. Yeah.
And Boy season 3 is coming out.
What is?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Boy season 3.
Ralph, watch Invincible. Oh, you said you watched a few episodes.
I watched a few.
Like it?
You know me and my animated stuff. It was quite violent. Man. That's one scene where
it gets way worse.
I hear the last. They said the last episode makes the last episode of The Boys just tame.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So it must be crazy. I bought a book.
Cool.
I'm reading a book. I'm actually reading a book called The Physics of Superheroes, where a guy breaks down, what would it actually mean.
I'm sorry. It's happening again. I'm watching on a camera animals not making good choices. So
all right,
please
go
excuse
deal.
me. And if you need to end without me, that's cool too. But
no,
we'll
wrap it up right now. Everybody have good streaming this week. Strong stream. Drew, go get the pets. Good luck.
No dribble.
Ball as well.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
all right.
you. Bye-bye.
We'll see you next
bye,
week,
guys.
guys.